what's up, you guys? My name is Cyrus, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. So, in the last episode, we did a showcase on LEGO God of War with Kratos and Atreus. So for this one, after months of customization, months of collecting the figures from each set, or buying them off online as separate individuals, we are finally getting around to doing a showcase on LEGO Overwatch. Now, I know I mentioned in the God of War showcase, I mentioned that I wasn't gonna do a showcase on that for the next episode, but it turns out I was wrong, because after God of War, I took a little break from LEGO Arts with gameplays, as well as life. I recently came back from a break. But during that break, I chose to take it as an opportunity to get done with some minifigures I was working on. And this showcase is one of them. So, if you guys recall that I did a couple of set reviews on some of these minifigures. I almost thought about doing a set review on the Escort the Payload sets and the Mech sets, but I decided, you know what? Let's save that for the actual showcase. And before I continue on, the decals that I have used for this video, they do not belong to me. They belong to somebody completely different. I will include a link to their page in the description below. Go show them some love. Go show them some support, because they did a fantastic job. At getting the detailing work for each and every one of these characters. So for our minifigures, we got Tracer, Widowmaker, Genji, Jesse McCree, Mercy, Hanzo, Soldier 76, Pharah, Reaper, Winston, Reinhardt, and Diva. These figures took quite some time. It was very similar to how I did LEGO Avengers, for where it wasn't necessarily full-on customization, it was kind of modification. But as you can see, there are some elements that I did customize on my own that I did redo. So all of these, in their own way or form, count as a custom. And before you ask, what about some of the other members of Overwatch, like Mei, Junkrat, Oricia, Symmetra, Zenyatta? Those will all be in a completely different wave. Those will be like wave 2, because with the minifigures I already have now, one, they were from the official Overwatch LEGO sets, and 2, given with our current showcase that we have, this episode might be divided up into like 2 parts. I don't know for sure. I'm just gonna record this as I would usually record a LEGO Arts episode, and if it turns out that I do have to divide it up into segments, we'll go ahead and do that. But the rest of the Overwatch cast, they will all be in a wave of their own. And for now, here's what we have as our LEGO Overwatch showcase. So, as you guys know the whole drill, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time, do a review on them, explain my process, why I went with this route, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get this showcase on the road. So first, to start this showcase off is, of course, the mascot of Overwatch herself, the iconic Tracer. This was actually like one of the last minifigures that I collected, but one of the first ones that I got completed on when it came to the customization process. So this minifigure is from like one of the more cheaper sets of Overwatch. I believe it's called the Tracer versus Widowmaker set. I don't know for sure, but with this minifigure, it was a very interesting minifigure of itself without the customization. So, as you can see here, she's got like decal printing on her arms, as well as some paint detailing. Little three-dimensional pieces, because you guys know by now I'm a sucker for doing that kind of art style, as well as her chrono accelerator, or three-dimensional on the front and the back. We'll talk more about that later on. Decal printing on her legs. The person who made these decals, they did an excellent job of capturing the detailing for her pants legs. Originally, so these are actually completely different legs than the ones that the original minifigure went with. And I actually started working on these a while back before I bought the sets, because I noticed that with the original minifigure, it didn't have some iconic elements, such as like the white boots, as well as the Tracer like printed on it. So I had like these spare orange legs that I wasn't using for anything else, and I modified them to have like the full character detailing on the legs, and it kind of matches up to the torso printing pretty well. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. and then nothing. So, with the guns, these are actually the new molds that's, I don't know if LEGO is officially making it for future guns, for, like, blasters and everything, but these actually worked out pretty well for Tracer as the original minifigure, so I kept those as well. I did like it how they captured her hairpiece, so, sorry, I'm moving the camera a little bit. So, one of the things that I've noticed with past Overwatch customs that people have made, they either do like this, they do like the classic spiked up hairpiece, like the same hairpiece that I used for Dean Winchester, and Jacksepticeye, and I think what about Detroit Become Human minifigures. I don't think so. Or they also use the, like, Kai hairpiece from Lego Ninjago, the same hairpiece that I used for Ventus and Roxas in Kingdom Hearts. And those were pretty cool hairpieces. But the fact of how Lego, they got her hairstyle, just like in the game, it makes it so much cooler. It makes it a lot more accurate to the character herself. So I was really glad about that. And this is actually, I do believe this is a double printing, so we'll remove this hairpiece, rotate around. Yep, this is a double piece. Hairpiece. So she's got, like, her, sort of her, like, warrior kind of, like, face. It's on, like, the front, and then on the back she's got, like, her more cheerful face, because that's sort of the personality that Tracer has. Is that, like, she can be pretty cheerful, but she can also be a powerful warrior. So, before we move on, going back to the Chrono Accelerator, the original accelerator that Lego had for this, they had it for where it was a simple back piece that you would, like, put on, like, a jetpack or maybe some sort of buildable structure onto it, and then add in a stud, and then, like, some lightning to represent the energy stream she projects, like, when she moves or uses the accelerator. And that was cool, for a standard sort of Lego design. But I always, like, want to step it up a notch, to make my minifigures unique. So I wanted to make it a three-dimensional piece. And after spending hours on the internet trying to find at least one picture to have, like, a good description of the Chrono Accelerator, I'm not joking, it took a while to find one. When I finally found a good one, a good Chrono Accelerator from video game pictures, as well as some cosplayers who did an amazing job in their costumes. I basically got an idea as to what the Chrono Accelerator would look like. So I took, like, some new molding clay that I got, which at first isn't quite as hard as some of my it is basically the same clay that I used for the Blades of Chaos. I managed to sculpt it around, like, where the printing for the original accelerator was. I then did some paint detailing, and then came back and then finally added in on the lights that Tracer has when activating the Chrono Accelerator. So this minifigure actually came out pretty well. I think this is a pretty cool adaptation to Tracer, and I'm glad that Lego decided to have her be one of the Overwatch minifigures for their lines, for, like, their set lines. So this was a pretty cool minifigure to do. So let's go ahead and move on to our next minifigure. So next up on our list is another iconic Overwatch character, and that is Widowmaker. This one wasn't too hard, but the hardest thing was the skin tone. So, when I first got this minifigure, her pretty much, at first I thought I wouldn't have to do so much customization, but then come to realize that I probably would have to, mainly painting work. So the legs, a majority of these Overwatch minifigures, their leg pieces are roughly intact, so minus decals, like, on the sides, and a little bit on the boots. But for Widowmaker, one of the hardest things was her skin tone, because when she first came in, she had, like, this light purplish kind of skin tone, and I kept going back and forth, like, trying to figure out, like, does Widowmaker have blue skin? Does she have purple skin? What is her skin tone? And I even tried looking on, like, some fan pages where people have sort of answered this question, and similar things. A lot of people said blue, a lot of people said purple, purple. So finally, I decided to settle on like an indigo kind of color, coloration for her, because it matches pretty up, because it matches pretty well of how the character looks, and this way it can either be purple or blue, So it was sort of a compromise. Nice. Strangely though, when painting this, I almost thought I was making either an Ayla Sakura from Star Wars minifigure or maybe a Mystique minifigure. I have no idea why. No idea why. Maybe they have similar facial expressions? I don't know for sure, but it was just a weird thoughts. But anyways, back to the figure at hand. So, she's got like the same weapons that she originally had, like this sniper rifle that I slightly modified to match it up a little bit more to the game, as well as a grappling hook to represent Widowmaker's ability to go up to high vantage points to get good sniper positions. I tried to not damage too much of the detailing on the back, and then I tried to salvage what I could. So it doesn't look perfect, but I did the best I could. And with the pink. I tried to do like a metallic kind of pinkish color. I don't really have any metallic paints except for like gold, silver, and bronze. So, it was a little bit tricky on trying to make sure that I had on a good quantity of like pink as well as like silver to get that sort of metallic effect. I hope this pulled off pretty well. And well, if not, I'll go back and recolor it make it much better. I slightly repainted the eyes a little bit, not too much. They're roughly about the same. I also did like a metallic purple for like the shoulders, for like her shoulder pads, and I redid the detailing work. She has kind of like a spiderweb pattern on her right arm. I couldn't tell for sure, but after getting a good photo of like some of the character models, I then realized like okay, I gotta fix this. Fix this. And her hairpiece, again, the hairpiece was very, very cool. So before I saw that Overwatch officially, that like I was gonna do official Overwatch sets, I almost thought I would have to like take the same hairpiece that I used for Allison Angel from Bending Ink Machine and sculpt out the visor, like her visor onto it. But in the end, Lego officially showed up with like their official hairpiece, and I gotta say, this was very well done. It really matches up to what Widowmaker really looks like in the game. So this was really, really cool. So this was a pretty fun minifigure to do. Not a whole lot of customization, mainly repainting, but it was worth it in the long run. So let's go ahead and move on to our next minifigure. So next up on our list is, of course, Genji, aka Cyborg Ninja. This minifigure, I definitely wanted to get when I first saw the Lego Overwatch sets released, and mainly with this minifigure, it consisted on redoing some of the paintwork so it would match up with the decals, like all of it would be a whole, as well as redoing his weapons. So you can kind of see that there's a little bit of glue on his torso, and that's my fault. So I almost thought about like doing like a 3-dimensional like sort of piece, as well as like on his chest and a little bit on his shoulders, but come to realize that most of his armor is not really bulky. It's more of like a smooth kind of thing. So I quickly got the armor, or got the clay off as best as I could, and I had to repaint some of the detailing work. So I apologize as to why there's glue on the chest, but that's how we learn. That's how we learn from our mistakes. So his legs, the fronts are pretty well intact. The sides, of course, they have some detailing work over here, as well as on his arms. I repainted his helmet. It's in a different silver kind of color, as well as like the back. I repainted it into a different dark gray. Same thing with the visor. And one of the first things I did when customizing, hopefully I can get this off, is that I gave him a face. Because that was an annoying thing I had with the original minifigure, is that it was a good minifigure for a start, but like when you remove the helmet, he has no face. No face at all. So it's just like, what about if people like want to remove the helmets and everything, or do other variations of Genji? Genji. So that was a complaint that I had in the original Overwatch minifigure. But I decided, you know what, I'll suck it up, and remake this. Turn it into a proper Genji. And I think I succeeded at that, because it turned out pretty good. He's got one of his shurikens, and this was one of the shurikens from the official sets. I think the Hanzo vs. Genji sets with the Hanamura. Alright, this is one of the original shurikens. I originally took one of my old shurikens that I had for a Zane minifigure from Ninjago, repainted it silver, tried to add in a clear coat of spray paint, so that the paint wouldn't, come off or everything. But I decided to not really use that, and just go ahead with, the silver shurikens that they already came with, and just paint it on, some green detailing to match it up. You can't hold 3, but this does represent of a part of Genji's arsenal. Speaking of his arsenal, let's remove this, and take a look at the back. The back was definitely something I worked on. So before I bought the sets, I began working on some of Genji's weapons, specifically of how he would hold his swords. And in the game, he has 2 swords. A smaller blade, and of course his iconic dragon blade. But my thoughts were how was I gonna be able to make a piece that would hold 2 swords and would easily have the minifigure move around without nothing compromising. So after some trial and error, and after a lot of clay and a lot of glue, I finally came out with this result. So the blade underneath is, of course, his smaller blade, which originally was just a sword that I cut down to make it smaller, and so that way when Genji would hold it out, he'd wield it. Okay, easy. There we go. I always get worried that maybe that the blades, the handles would break off from the blades, but that has not happened. Unfortunately, though, I can't say for the paintwork, but we learn from mistakes. So this way, Genji can hold his sword like this, and of course the dragon blade. So originally the dragon blade was supposed to be an extra sword that I had for the sword of fire from Lego Ninjago, that I wasn't using for anything else. But I decided, would people get mad if I didn't get the dragon blade fully accurate? So I decided to scrap at that idea, and this sword was a much bigger pain to get, because I almost thought about because I then tried making a custom blade, but it broke off. I constantly had to re-glue this on, reattach the sword handle in a different way, and make sure that the paintwork would stay on the blade without it coming off. You can kind of see where the paintwork kind of removed off, but I specifically chose this piece to hold the swords because it's pretty loose, but not loose enough where it would fall off all the time. So this was a pretty good attachment, and the result finally came out with the final product of the dragon blade. So this wasn't entirely my original idea as to how to proceed with Genji, but in the end, this turned out pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to our next minifigure. So next up on our list is Mercy, one of my other favorite minifigures to customize. Admittedly, this one doesn't have as much customization as I was hoping it would have. I originally planned that it would have a lot more, but in the end, this came out as the final results. And I mentioned a few things in when I did the set review of the Watchpoint set. For starters, I loved how they got her hairpiece as accurate as possible. Like with Widowmaker, I originally had plans to use a completely different hairpiece and modify it, but when seeing this, it was just this is much better. One of the first things I did with this minifigure was that I repainted the face. The face printing, it was good, but you could barely see it. And one of the websites that I follow, Firestar Toys, they even did a headpiece for where the skin tone looks much better. It looks so much better. Much better than the original product. So the main things that I really customized were the arms and the legs. You could see the print detailing work on the arms and the legs. I tried to continue on some of the lines that that her like armor like suit has. It didn't come out fully correctly, actually, but that's how we learn. Her staff wasn't quite as fully customized as I was aiming for, so okay, let's try to lower this down as much as we can. I don't know well how you guys can see it. Hang on, let me reposition the camera slightly. Okay, there we go. There we go. So the staff itself did go through some modifications. Originally, this whole piece was gonna be like a new like sculpted out piece. But then when looking at like why they originally went with a hook, gotta be careful. Sorry, the staff broke a little bit earlier, so I'm trying to be careful not to ruin it again. But this whole piece was supposed to be like a customized piece. But then when I learned of like why they went with a hook for this, and it turns out that Mercy's staff, when it's in healing mode, these pieces are down, but when it's in like boost mode, they actually go up a bit. So I kind of did like a sort of both at the same time, so it's kind of going up and down. I also added in like the top part to complete the staff. Okay, readjust camera. There we go. There we go. So I kind of did like both modes for the staff, and then like since I wanted that effect of how like the staff rotates. Sorry, I'm moving the pedestal. But like the whole detailing of how like the staff can rotate around as you're either giving a boost or a healing stream. I wanted to keep that in, so I settled on for painting on the rest of the details that Mercy staff has. And it's not perfect, but I have done worse. So this turned out pretty good. The wings, I won't lie, the wings were not exactly what I was originally aiming for. I did try to make like Mercy's wings from the game. I tried to make them more accurate. It went through a lot of phases. I first took like some eagle wings that I wasn't using for anything else, like sands off most of the feathers, and I was originally gonna like add in the rest of the wing parts, including like the energy parts. But that turned out to be a bust. I then tried like sculpting out the wings entirely. It did not work out well. Finally, I said, I give up. I'm just gonna take the original wings and all wings. They look as accurate as possible and just repaint them. Paint them as best I can. So this was sort of as a last resort to get the minifigure done. I'm not super proud of the wings. But that's when comparing this to some of the other failures I did as I did for like Mercy's wings. This was the best I could do. I do want to go back and try to fix it, but for now, this was like the final results. Results from Mercy. See, I also didn't give her gun piece because I thought that wasn't like super important. Like Mercy does have a gun. It's a little pistol, but mostly her role in the game is the designated healer. So I didn't stress too much about that. But if I did give like this minifigure a gun piece, this would probably be like one of the more iconic Lego guns that they use, because it matches up pretty well as to what it looks like in the game. But all in all, this minifigure wasn't a failure. I will say that it's not a failure. It's actually turned out as a pretty good result. So, I hope to go back, refix the wings and turn it into the Mercy that I was hoping to get. But for now, I'm pretty satisfied with this. So let's go on ahead to our next minifigure. So next up on our list is Soldier 76. I'm pretty sure like either the Master Chief or the Captain America of Overwatch is pretty much how you would describe this character. In general in the games. But with this minifigure, like with the other ones, not really much of customization, more of repainting. So his legs, of course, as you can see, detailing on all of it, so like on the front and on the back, on the sides, and mainly because the legs originally were just plain regular like dark gray, and I didn't actually buy the whole set on this one. So I said that I didn't want to get a full set with this one as well as Jesse McCree. So I settled on for going on to eBay and getting the figures separately, which turned out to be a much better result because it saved a lot of time time on getting a whole set and just focusing on the figures that I need to get. That plus it didn't have an extra reaper on standby, and how I could just focus on one. So with this figure, the rest of the figure is mainly intact. Attack on the arms. This was very well done detailing work. Same thing with the back. Like you could see his iconic 76 jacket, and of course like his blue sleeves. Even if you can't tell it with the gun. Okay, yeah, that's my hand. Sorry. So little detailing work on the other arm, but not a whole lot compared to the other one. And I chose to repaint this in like a different shade of blue, because I saw it's like in some of the photos that I saw sort of like almost like a palish kind of blue. So I went with the same kind of blue coloration that I used for some of my other characters, and I think this turned out pretty good. If it turned out I got the blue incorrect, I'll go back and recolor it, into a different shade and make it more accurate. I kept the gun as it was, because like when I did Lego Doctor Who, I kind of like buildable stuff, like the building weapons or the building tools, because it really shows of like what you can do with Legos. Anyway, the Legos. But that still won't stop me from using some other materials like clay or cardboard or any other sort of artsy things. The face is as it was. I almost thought about doing like a 3-dimensional visor. So on how I did with my Crisis on Earth X minifigures, as well as my Prometheus minifigure. I almost thought about getting like one of my Ninjago masks, modifying it, and then putting it on for where like he could have the visor, and then when taking it off, we could see Jack's face. But then when I saw like the printed detailing work that they did to the face, I didn't want to destroy it. I didn't want to ruin it in any way or form. So I settled in for recoloring like the skin tone, like some of the skin that is shown, because like with Mercy, it was on, but it was very faded. So I repaid. So I went back to it, did the detailing work to make it stand out more, and I think it turned out pretty good. And of course, with the hairpiece, like with the other Overwatch characters, it really matches up to the character itself. So this was very cool. Very cool. Again, if it turns out I got the blue incorrectly, like it's not the same blue as it is in the games in any way or form, I'll go back and refix it. But otherwise, this minifigure turned out pretty good, and I hope you guys are satisfied with it. So let's go on ahead to our next minifigure. So next up on our list is the older brother of the Shimada brothers. There's Hanzo. So from the same set that I got the Genji minifigure, and this one has probably the most customized weapon aside from Genji's weapons. But with this one, it was very unique of how to proceed through this figure here. So a majority of it is pretty much the same, except of course like the legs. I did like the decal printing on the legs, not too much though. So I can actually still move the legs, but I added in like his boots and like the rest of the pattern on the sides. So he's got those on his left arm. He's got like the tattoo printing that they did. Same leading up to his chest as well. I did have to double check actually, because with my memory on Hanzo, I tried to remember like did he add like tattoos, and he did. So why Lego didn't include them on, I don't know. But I fixed that problem to fully make it accurate to the minifigure. Well, not the minifigure, the character itself. Silly me. There's also printing on the other arm, which I almost thought this was actually a robotic arm, but it turns out it's just a glove. He's got a glove, and of course, like he's got his archer. First, he's got like his arrow on the back. He's got his quiver, which I almost thought about changing the quiver, but I decided to keep it because I'm on a very short supply of quivers. Like. Alright, so like the last one that I used was for Atreus, and I actually had to take that from a different minifigure to use it. So definitely like when I go shopping for Lego parts, quivers will be on the list. But this one was pretty easy to do. All I really had to do was just add in some detailing to like the arrows, and this turned out good. His hairpiece hasn't really changed so much Not much. There's just like now some gray on the sides for like his sideburns. Sideburns, and of course like he's got got like some of the fabric that he keeps in there for his ponytail and so that's pretty cool. But the best thing I think about this minifigure is the bow. So hang on, let me move the camera slightly. Careful. Okay, there we go. So the bow probably has to be the most unique archery bow I ever made. Like you guys have seen in the past that the minifigures that I've used for when it came to archery minifigures, I guess were like Green Arrow, Hawkeye, Arsenal, and all Prometheus, Atreus. Those bows were already made, but were either modified like with Green Arrow and Dark Arrow, or were just kept the same but sanded off. Were sanded off of like where you have the arrow like pulled back, and added in some string. With this one, not. This one, it was not like that. Not like that. I had to look at some photos to get a clear understanding as to what Hanzo's bow looked like. And the original bow he had, it works, but it's not accurate. Right. So after finding like a good photo on Hanzo's bow, which was a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. I then got an understanding as to what the bow was gonna look like. So it has a couple of rods. Like this one was just one that I glued in onto here. And here, the bow parts I completely sculpted out of clay. And with this handle piece, I can't remember what I used it before, but I remember I used it for something. But with this piece, I chose to use it as not only to support the bow, both of these bows was at the end, but also to have it for where Hanzo can hold it, and can hold it as well, which was amazing of how this came out. I almost thought I had to do like some sanding on the bow, but no, this actually turned out good, which I was really psyched for. And the only thing left that I had to do is do like the paintwork and stuff. I almost put on like a string on the bow, but by the time I had finished it, I didn't know of a way of how I could attach the string while still having this piece on. I think in order to do that, I would have to like do some sanding and move it a bit, but it's not too big of a deal. Like not every archery bow has to have a string, as long as it gives the general idea as to what it is, then it's good enough for me. And I have to say, this bow turned out awesome. This turned out much better than I expected. It did, because you guys have seen in the past of like I just made sort of a breakthrough when it comes to custom swords, and the keyblades. But archery bows is something I rarely do as well. Like I think the last custom bow, like fully custom that I did was for like a Legend of Zelda minifigure that I made for one of my friends. My friend as a birthday gift, and a gift for her. And that bow, it came out so-so in my opinion, and she didn't mind. But to me back then, it was just like I so could have improved upon it, and for like not having done this kind of weapon in so long, this actually came out good. So I'm pretty proud of Hanzo's bow, and I hope you guys like it too. So, that pretty much does it for Hanzo, and I hope to do more archery bows like this in the future, because this is really good practice. This is really cool. So, let's go on ahead to our next minifigure. Next up on our list is Jesse McCree, the cowboy of the group. And I gotta say, this one has to be one of my favorite Overwatch customs to do. And probably one of the harder ones that I had to accomplish. So, back when I first saw this minifigure, I thought it was cool, but I thought it was missing something. And it finally hit me. His hairpiece was not fully accurate. So, if you guys recall, back when I did the Lego Indiana Jones minifigure, one of the things that made that minifigure so unique was the fact of how I took a hairpiece, cut the top of it off, and then glued it onto the hat. For this one, I did a similar approach. However, I did a couple of changes. So learning from what I did with Jones is that first I attempted to like measure out the hairpiece of like how deep it goes on on a headpiece on the regular minifigure, and then the same thing with the hat. Then, once I figured that out, I cut that part off, sanded out a little bit, and then glued it onto the hat. Onto the head, which... it wasn't easy. You can kind of see, like, even where some of the glue came onto the headpiece. But, once I managed to get, like, the correct length of how it would go on, I put two and two together, and this came out as the final results, which turned out awesome. Of course, like, he's got like, some of the fabrics that he has on here, that I lightly painted on, like, some of the pattern detailing that you see in the original game. Hang on, if I sort of, hang on, I gotta do something like this, so that way we can see the rest of the figure. Now he looks weird. But anyways, with the rest of this figure, he's got, like, his, of course, robotic arm, which I didn't know he had one until I saw, like, the little short clip, like the recent one that they came out with, and then realized, oh, he has a robo arm. Okay. The torso is the same as it was. Same thing with a little detailing on the fronts of the legs, but I modified a little bit. There's also a decal printing on the sides, where you can see, like, his extra ammo, and same thing over here. He's got, of course, the gun holster, detailing on the back, and with the arm, and, like, with his right arm. Sorry, I almost said left. This one I'm really proud of, because, like, with the skin tone that I was going for through here, it's not exactly like the whole thing, like, as you guys can see it on the camera, but when I look at this, it looks pretty much the same. The skin tone looks very similar to each other, which is something I rarely get when it comes to customization. So, the fact of how I managed to get that with this particular minifigure, it turned... I was super proud of that. So it was just like, hallelujah, I got it! On it. And you can also see, like, some paint detailing on his hat. I decided to go with that to make it look more like Jesse McCree. And of course, like, he's got his iconic revolver, which was the same gun that came with this figure. But I painted on, like, some of the blue as for, like, some of the energy bullets. Well, it's one thing that I would have liked for the revolver. It's good, but I would have loved to get, like, one of those custom, like, brick forged sort of guns. Like the same gun, like the same or similar to, like the brands that brands on, like, the gun that I used when I did Xenon for Sword Art Online. With her gun, it was specially custom made. So I would have loved to have gotten, like, a custom made revolver for Jesse McCree, like a custom brick piece, to make it a little bit more like it is in the game. But for now, this turned out pretty good, and it turned out like a pretty good revolver. So I'm pretty glad for that. So all in all, I really liked this minifigure. I like this minifigure. Jesse McCree's not really one of my favorite characters in the game. Like, he's a cool guy, but I suck playing as him. But making his minifigure turn out awesome. Like, I'm super proud of the headpiece, and I hope to do something like this again in the future. So, let's go on ahead to our next minifigure.